Welcome to A Guided Life podcast, where we talk about all things spirit and life. I'm your host, Laura West. Through a mix of solo and interview episodes, I want to showcase all the different ways the spirit world helps guide our daily lives. Whether it's through intuition, signs, mediumship, channeling, the mystical, or the paranormal, our altruistic spirit guides and other members of our loving soul team are always there, ready, able, and willing to guide us. Welcome to another episode. Today I am joined by Kolodney. She is the founder of the Archangel Raphael and has spent nearly 4 decades exploring consciousness, healing, and spiritual awakening. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for being with me today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Such a pleasure. I'm really excited to talk to you about your work with archangels, your work in general, and then this upcoming event that you have coming up next month. But before we get started, I just wanted to first ask, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name's Kolodney, and I have been channeling Archangel Raphael since 1989, so a really, really long time. And it has brought incredible blessings into my life, and I share those messages at this moment with thousands of people every day. And we are hoping through our processes to birth a new consciousness. So it's really a beautiful process.
How wonderful. Can you share what happened in 1989?
Yeah, I'm giving away my age. I was 21 back then. I was in college. I had no idea about channeling. I wasn't very connected to angels in any way, shape, or form. I was fairly intuitive, but I wasn't trying in any way to have this happen to me. I was literally like studying in my dorm room. And on the weekends, my boyfriend and I, who now is my husband of 30 some years, would travel about an hour and a half to my sister's home. Her husband was this famous chiropractor, and he was learning this new technique called network chiropractic. And we would go on the weekends and lay down on these tables. And although he had been practicing for years, he would do this very gentle process on our spines. And when that would happen, both my sister and I, not a different sister and I, would have this movement in our body, and our body would kind of move into a wave. Then we would turn over, and you could feel the energy moving through. When he would touch our heart, we would start to make these sounds, these toning sounds. And this went on for several months. And what it was called was a clear out. We were moving energy in the body and clearing out stagnant, old, heavy vibrations or things that needed to be released. And through that process, the energy started to get stronger and stronger. And first, my sister started to make these sounds and connect. And one day on Thanksgiving dinner, we're sitting around and something just came through and started speaking through my sister and she kept moving her hands and just saying, "So beautiful." And I remember that Thanksgiving dinner. I'll never forget it. Everyone around the table was like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And my mom was pretty flipped out about it, as you could imagine. And we were just watching this process. And then I had 3 sisters. And then the other sister was also, the energy came through her, but not through me. We were just in awe of the whole thing. And I had just graduated college. So then I was living with my older sister, and I would tape record everything that would come through on this old tape recorder and ask questions. And the energy said, "Well, who are you? And what is your name?" And it said, "I'm Archangel Raphael," and gave us these incredibly philosophical and beautiful messages. And would say at the time that the messages were almost secondary to the energy and the vibration that was coming through. It was very potent and beautiful. And then one day my sister literally had to go to the grocery store, and I was sitting there finishing up the notes, and Raphael came through me. And that was in 1989. And I have had this gift and connection ever since. And more recently, I'd say in the last 10 to 12 years, I've shared it in a more public way. Before that, it was more private. Yeah.
What did that feel like physically when he came through you?
It's hard to explain. At first, it would just feel like this huge surge of energy. And I would make these sounds, toning sounds. And when Raphael comes in, Raphael says, hello, hello, like that to engage with whoever energetically it's connecting to. And then that person would say hello back. And when that would happen, I could feel this connection, like heart to heart with whoever Raphael was communicating to through me. And I would start to be able to feel my hands would kind of go like this, and I could feel their whole energy field and sense everything and begin to tap into not just them in this now present moment, but in all time, both past, present, and future, like almost like a scanning of their field and seeing them more as a light. And so the feeling for me is I sort of step aside as Kelly and allow the energy to move through. And over the years, in the beginning, when it first happened, I would come out of it and have no clue what Raphael said. I'd be like, tell me what happened. And then as years passed, it would be more like a dream. I would wake up and I would remember what was being said, but I couldn't always recall all of it. And now I pretty much remember everything because the vibration's been coming through so long that in some ways it's blended with me. And it's more of a coherent field rather than separate.
What was the intention of that chiropractic session? Was it just to allow was it your brother-in-law
Yeah.
to practice, or was there a possibility that something spiritual like this would happen?
Yeah, so he had learned this technique by someone named Donnie Epstein. And at the time, Donnie literally had also received messages and teachings about how to do this. And it was this very gentle touch on the base of the spine. And as Donnie was working on it and learning, he noticed that everyone in the same room, when they would come together, their energetic field would start to morph. And so when my brother-in-law Arno would work on us, it was almost like he was playing an instrument, like he would work on me and then another, and our fields, our energy fields of the people in the room would come into a coherence and begin to mimic one another and move simultaneously at the same time. The intention behind it at the time was to clear any subluxations, any discordant energy in the spine so that the energy could flow. And perhaps at this moment, we would think of it as opening the Kundalini and allowing the life force energy to move. But back then, I don't even know that they recognized so much that that's what was happening, other than they knew that people were having these profound emotional releases. And from the emotional release, they were having physical, pretty much a lot of miraculous healing taking place because the stored emotions were able to let go, and then the body was coming back into balance. In addition to that, many people, not all, because sometimes we would have the rooms would be filled with hundreds of people going through this process simultaneously, not on regular weekends, but maybe every few months. People would have these profound shifts and changes and open up to spiritual gifts. But that wasn't something that was happening to everyone, nor the actual, like, let's say, intention. But for whatever reason, three of my sisters and we had this, something happened. And then later, many years later, I'd say 20 years later, my husband, I got a message in the middle of the night from actually someone in our life close to us who had passed. And we had completely at that point lost touch with this Donnie Epstein. And they said to my husband, I woke up in the morning, I said to my husband, Sam, you have to go find Donnie. I'm getting this strong message from Russ. This was a different brother-in-law who had passed over, that you need to see him and it will be life-changing. And go see him wherever he is in the world. We thought he was in Colorado. We're in Pennsylvania. And my husband was like in a corporate job and whatever, but he was always open to all this stuff that was always happening. And he said, okay, I'll look into it. So he looked into it, and Donnie is in Australia of all places. And he just, it was unlike him, but he just got a plane ticket and left the next day, and he went. And he also had this incredible experience, very different from channeling, but life-changing. So that particular work was very potent at that time. And I think still is, but it was in the beginning stages, and I think it was heightened compared to perhaps now.
Being guided to ask you what your thoughts were, if you can remember, I know this was a bit back, but what your thoughts were going into that session with your brother-in-law? Was it like skeptical? Was it, I hope that that something comes of this? What was going through your mind leading up to this session?
That's an interesting question. I had been under chiropractic care with him since I was 12, just regular care. So it was something that was very familiar to me. And he was more than just a brother-in-law. He was truly a brother. And he was so excited about this work. And my family was very, very close and connected. And so we were exploring this and recognizing that something beautiful and powerful was happening, but really didn't know what. So I think I came with curiosity and a lot of openness. My elder sister who came with a lot of skepticism and guarded energy around it. And then when this opening happened for the three of us, my one sister who came right through, she allowed and connected to Raphael. My other sister was like, no, I'm not having anything to do with this, even though it was coming right through. She's like, no, she just didn't want to. And then I was like, I'm a very open person and also very trusting almost to a fault. Like, and I was like, sure, of course, if it's an angel and it helps me and others, why not? So we just had different ways of looking at it. Yeah.
I love that. So what does your work look like now?
Now it's taken on an entire life of its own. I teach every morning to anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 people, 3 to 4 days a week. And Raphael comes in and we go through a teaching for about 3 weeks around a light code. And this is information I downloaded from Raphael and we'll go into depth in a particular subject matter, whether that be learning how to really love ourselves more or heal our body or tune into the earth or work with our grief or whatever might be showing up. And we delve very deeply into it in a mystical, esoteric, and practical way. And then there's a few weeks off where I'm usually on a podcast or something or having an event, and then we do it again. It's pretty actively busy with my community. Yeah, teaching.
Do you work with any other angels or archangels?
Fortunately, I'm very able at this point to bring in lots of beautiful energies, whether they be angels, sometimes a goddess like Lakshmi will come through, or sometimes, a star being actually will come and communicate with us like a Syrian elder and bring techniques on healing our body. Most things seem to be very centered around healing. And because Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, I taught a light code a few months ago on protection. And Archangel Michael came at that point. And it wasn't protection as if we were protecting ourselves against anything. It was going into inner balance and coherence so that our field was in a state that we felt grounded and protected. And that was the first time I had really connected with him versus Raphael. And it's very different vibration. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Do you work with any spirit guides?
Well, sure. Well, since last year, just around this time, or actually it's going to be 2 years. It's crazy. My brother-in-law, Arnaud, who had been the facilitator for this, passed away. And recently I was teaching it was actually called the Death Code. I know it sounds scary, but it was about working with the process of death and the afterlife and our life review and our life purpose and all that. And he came through as a spirit guide, and people in class had these miraculous healings. And I was incredibly surprised by it. He was able to energetically work on them and kind of do the processes that he did on me when he was alive. And that was fascinating to me. But when I think of a spirit guide like you're speaking of, it's hard sometimes to differentiate between, do you mean somebody who's passed on as a spirit guide, or it could be, a condor as a spirit guide, or an angel as a spirit guide, or a goddess or is also one. So, but in terms of people who've passed, I don't usually tap into that, but he came and that was really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would you describe his personality? Did he have a very good sense of humor?
No, yes, he did.
Because I just I just feel like he's just like laughing and joking a lot all
Yes,
the
that's
time.
so true. You've really picking up on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell he's very like involved and in the work that you do even now. So I do get that feeling of like being part of your soul team or your spirit team.
Yeah, I know for sure we've been in many lifetimes together, and we are a soul tribe for sure. And most of that soul tribe in my life has passed on. Two of those sisters that I had this experience with are on the other side. He's on the other side. Many of them. It's interesting. And so I feel so much support from them on this journey. Like they really have my back. Yeah.
I love it. That's wonderful. So you have an exciting event happening in August. Did you want to share what that's about?
Yeah, so every August, between July 28th and August 12th, there's something called the Lion Gate. And it's a time where the veil is thin, the portal is open. This year, at the very last day of the Lion Gate, there's this beautiful solar eclipse. It's going to pass through the Arctic and through Iceland, making the energy even more potent. And then next year during the Lion Gate, but on August 2nd, there's going to be one that passes through Egypt. It's going to be the longest one in our lifetime, over 6 minutes long. And both of those run on this very powerful meridian line that leads down to a place called Timbavate in South Africa. And that's where the white lions dwell. And there's been many teachings from the African shaman sharing with us that the white lions carry these codes to help us anchor in the new earth. And so we're going to be gathering together in person. We'll have a few hundred people. That's fully sold out, but we'll have people joining from all over the globe, thousands of people. And we're going to come into a coherent field of love during why that gate is open and the veil is thin. And really connect back with the earth, with each other, and with the dream of creating and coming back into a field where the new earth is alive and well, and we're attuned to it. So we're going to be dreaming in collectively on what we call the everyone, the new earth as a collective. And through that process, people most likely have a lot of visions and connections to their soul purpose, why they're here, and an alignment to this very special time on the planet, which will help them recognize what it is that they are here to do and to share, and how they can not just for themselves do that, but also for the collective and to be of service. So that will be what we'll be doing together.
That's one of the big questions too that I'm sure people ask, what is my purpose?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that sometimes it gets veiled from us and it's hard to see and find. But during the Lion Gate, it's been my experience that people really receive visions, more clarity on their purpose. It's a much easier time for creating, to bring our intention into focus. And so when we gather like that as thousands, and we're going to be chanting a mantra all together called the Gayatri mantra. It's a Vedic mantra that's very ancient and was held secret for so long because of its potency. But the purpose of it is to bring full enlightenment to the entire planet. And so thousands of us have been practicing it, like between 6 and 10,000 of us for like the last 10 weeks in preparation for the Lion Gate. And anyone could join in, and we'll have the words up there, and we're all going to chant together to create this field of love. And then we'll go through the whole weekend of revealing and unveiling our purpose, coming into wholeness, healing, and dreaming together the new earth.
During that time, do you happen to know or have you been shown how the other side participates in those types of events?
So I know that my tribe, I call them the crew, is very, very active in supporting this because there's no way on my own this could have come together at this level. And recently, and we haven't revealed this yet, but I just talked to some very beautiful people that most everybody here would know. I've decided along with me that next year at the Lion Gate, we're going to gather 144,000 people all at once to do this profound process to come into coherence. Because Raphael has said that doing that will activate so much light around the globe that will have a really powerful impact. And I know that energies on the other side, including Raphael and many of our guides, are supporting us on that journey. So definitely, yeah.
Gosh, I wonder if there was a way to like measure that energy. Do you know?
I don't. I do know that in the TM community, I know that Maya Rishi did a lot of research, and they did take pockets of places where there was violence or poverty and things going on, and they would direct the energy through meditation to specific places, and they would see an actual change in the statistics. Since we have a whole year before this event happens, maybe I do work sometimes with the Monroe Institute. Maybe they have a way of measuring it or doing something where we could notice it, or our intention could be something that we could visibly see happen to feel like, okay. But when we all collectively bring our consciousness together, that many with one intention, especially with the frequency of love, I know 100% in the deepest part of my being that has a positive impact.
How can people become involved with that?
Well, we haven't even begun registering people for that. We'll do it after this Lion Gate, but this Lion Gate coming up in a couple weeks, so they can register. And they have 3 ways to do it. One is donation based. So as little as $1, they can join for 1 hour of the 3-day event and just be there. Or they can come in and be there the whole weekend, which I think is $88. The in-person event, of course, is sold out. And when they do that, they're saying, yes, I want to be part of the 144 for this bigger event coming up next year. Because to me, this is what I would call a seed event. We're seeding the energy. This is like the core group that's coming together to prepare what we need to catapult the energy and exponentially grow it to the next level for next year, for the big solar eclipse. Yeah.
Is there a website or a social media page that people can connect to for that?
Sure. They can find everything about me at theangelraphael.com. I'm also on YouTube, The Angel Raphael, and Instagram. But the easiest way is my website, and they can pop around on there and see what they want to connect to or not. But the Lion Gate event is I think is on the front page, so that should be easy.
Do you know the history of the Lionsgate? Because I know it's been talked about, especially like August 8th, 8/8, this portal and everything like that. But where did that sort of all stem from?
That's a good question. I don't know where that stemmed from. I do know that the 8/8 for me and our community is working with the Infinity Gateway and moving into what we call the 0 point, which is that, 0 point on the 8. So the 8, the infinity symbol is as above, so below, and we'll work with heavenly and celestial energies. But then the 0 point is moving from polarity to singularity into presence. And so part of what we'll be doing that weekend is collectively coming into a deep state of presence and working with this renowned psychologist who has these techniques that bring us from whatever state we're in emotionally into this deep state of bliss and gives us prompts that then we can bring forward in our life and use to continue to come into presence. So for me, that's what's happening in terms of the 8/8 and the portal and this gateway. But the origin of it, and like how did it start and who discovered it and what does it mean? It's connected to, the time when the star Sirius is most visible in the constellation of Leo, and it presents itself to us. And so many indigenous and people who are much more tuned in, obviously, to the earth and to the stars were aware of that. And it probably stemmed from storytelling at that time because it is during Leo, which is the lion, and connected to Sirius. And Sirius is known to also connect with the Lyran beings, which are feline energy. So I know that much, but I don't know when it began.
So interesting how it has such like strong roots to the stars and planets and star seeds and
Yeah,
astrology.
definitely. Pam Gregory is an astrologer, a very good friend of mine, and we're going to we chat regularly, and she talks about, and also Linda Tucker, who's connected to the White Lions, how as we're moving into this age of Aquarius, there's also a deep connection to Leo and the lion heart. So lots of things happening.
And is that a picture of a lion behind you as well?
Oh, gosh, it is, because I have a personal connection to the white lion. The white lion energy kind of came to me during my dark night of the soul. And I had this huge transformation in 2017. And yeah, I went from having pitch black hair that has started to turn white to this crazy white hair like a white lion. And
It's beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. And so when I was going through this really dark period in my life, when I came to like the completion of it and came out of it, the white lion was sort of waiting for me. So.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So like in a spirit animal
Yeah, it's a
type
spirit
idea.
animal. Mhm. Yeah, I could
Love
really
that.
feel presence. It started with a black jaguar, which brought me into
Hmm.
the dark night of my soul and the jaguar medicine that I needed because at the time I was very ill and I had to heal. And my hair was black like the jaguar. It's just a funny process. And then I went through this transformation and it took me over a year. And when I came out of it, I was finally back to, myself and I had reached the other side of things. My hair was white. I was like the white lion.
Yeah, your mane,
My mane,
white
yeah.
mane.
People say I look like a white lion.
You're like, thank you. That is a compliment.
Well, yeah.
Going back to Archangel Raphael in particular, if somebody wanted to start to create a relationship with Raphael or communicative relationship or an energetic one, how would you guide somebody in that process?
Well, I would first ground down, connect into the earth, and get really centered, open your heart, and invite Raphael. Raphael and any angel, they don't come without an invitation because you have free will. Raphael is a spiral of light and comes on a green emerald ray of healing. And when you call upon Raphael, if you open to receiving, you can ask Raphael to show you a sign or something that lets you know that Raphael is there. And just, I think that it's such a personal experience, but I know that everybody feels and experiences the spiritual realm in a different way. But simply by asking and intending, Raphael will be there for sure.
That's beautiful. I love it. I was wondering, was there anything else that we didn't discuss that you wanted to cover today?
No, I just want to remind anybody who's listening that, me channeling to Raphael is not something special, that anybody can make that connection and contact, that everything they're searching for, we already know and it's already inside. And the people out there are kind of feeling lonely, that there is support from the angelic realm and there's love and guidance there if they can feel into it and trust in it. And that whatever they're going through, it will pass. Like it just trust that they're at a moment, but that moment won't always be like that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Kelly. And I appreciate your time and for sharing your knowledge. So, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And that was another episode of a Guided Life podcast. To connect with me via my socials or for links to my book titled Guided or my card deck called From Your Spirit Guides, please visit my Linktree site at linktr.ee/Guided West. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, love and light always.